Fishermen capture a river creature unlike anything they've ever seen. While it can be exciting just to spend some time out on the water, the thrills of fishing really kick in when you finally get a bite. The surprising tug at the end of your line, the violent splashing in the water, there's nothing like that one-on-one struggle with a fish.
Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell to be inspired by these heartwarming stories every day.
The Amazon River is full of diverse wildlife, which makes it ideal for curious fishermen and nature enthusiasts who love surprises. And a terrifying surprise was exactly what professional fisherman Steve Townsend found at the end of his line when he cast out into the river's dangerous waters. Fishing is a hobby that countless people enjoy. While you can absolutely catch massive fish if you know what you're doing, for most people, fishing is about taking a time out from a fast-paced life to sit and think. In fact, fishermen wait so much that when they do get a tug on their lines and reel in a big catch, there's no other payoff like it. Fishing requires a ton of patience, but those who are willing to wait reap major rewards. For those fishermen who have a lot less patience than their die-hard counterparts, there are places like the Amazon River, which offers up a slew of aquatic creatures in a hurry. That's why so many people head down south to see what they can catch. The Amazon River has plenty of unique fish, but they also have animals like snakes and gators. Just take a look at this enormous serpent. While the wildlife of the Amazon River is certainly beautiful, it also makes for some creepy encounters. Just ask a man named Steve Townsend. Professional fisherman Steve Townsend was not only a world-renowned angler, but he spent a lot of time on the Amazon River looking for the biggest and baddest fish around. Just look at him here. When dealing with the river's murky waters, you have to be fearless. The fish of the Amazon grow to tremendous sizes. It literally took 3 grown men to hoist this catfish out of the water. Even though catfish are harmless, it would still be a startling experience to suddenly come face to face with something that big. One afternoon, Steve and a small crew of fishermen packed a boat full of fishing supplies and headed out onto the river. Steve had plenty of experience in the Amazon, but on this particular day, he was about to encounter something that would seriously test him. As they drove, the water was shallow, and Steve knew the only fish they would find if they stopped were piranhas. As interesting as piranhas were, Steve was on the hunt for something more exotic. After about an hour, the crew arrived at an opening in the river where the water was much deeper. There were sure to be plenty of creatures swimming nearby, and Steve was ready for them. However, as time passed, neither Steve nor his crew members had any luck. It was time to travel elsewhere. The crew slowly steered the boat down the river. Steve sat in the front and carefully watched the waters around him. He had a good feeling about this particular area, so his crew stopped the boat. Steve cast his fishing line out and waited. Sure enough, Steve got a bite on his line and boy, the fish put up a fight. At that point, it still wasn't entirely clear what kind of creature he was dealing with. One thing was certain. Whatever it was strong. It was angry, too. You can't really blame it, either, because there's no animal on Earth who would enjoy the feeling of having a hook in its mouth when all it was expecting was a bit of a big, juicy worm. But this animal was in a league of its own. Steve pulled the mystery creature as close to the shoreline as possible so his crew could try to wrangle it in. He also had to make sure he didn't jerk the line in too many directions or it would snap, and the battle would be for nothing. Finally, the creature was close enough to touch. What the heck was that thing? The scaly body looked just like a massive snake. Did Steve catch an anaconda? Based on the fight it put up, that was a real possibility. However, once Steve finally pulled its head out of the water with the help of a crew member, he was in shock. The creature was an arapaima, one of the largest freshwater fish in the world. Steve couldn't believe their luck. After all the time he'd spent fishing and exploring the Amazon River, he never had the opportunity to hold an arapaima. It's no wonder Steve struggled to control the fish. They can grow to more than 10 feet in length and weigh 400 pounds, meaning they somehow get even bigger than the one the crew caught. Check this monstrous arapaima out. That's one heck of a fish. This is one of the largest ever photographed. Most don't grow to this size, but this just proves how spooky the waters of the Amazon River can be. With fish that require 2 grown men to carry lurking about, you can't expect many people to want to go swimming in this waterway. And can you blame them? Just imagine this gigantic fish chasing you. Talk about a nightmare. After a few amazing pictures with the arapaima, Steve released it back into the murky water. It was a mesmerizing encounter, to say the least. Steve would remember this long after it ended. He could finally check arapaima off the list of creatures he wanted to catch. It was clear this fish, in particular, was not accustomed to being hooked by anyone. It soon became obvious that Steve didn't know what he was in for, either. Check out the look on Steve's face when he finally hauled the beast in.